Welcome to all our Formula One fans around the world. This is Mustafa. I remain Mustafa. I'm just kidding. Let me get started. All right, so here.
Uh,
So surprise, surprise. Norris is the rain master. He outqualifies Verstappen and Sainz and Russell in the rain. And not only that, on a track in which Verstappen is supposed to dominate. So this is not even supposed to be close. This is a high speed track, very minimal corners. The sector with corners, sector two, is very minimal. It's just a blip on the chart and low downforce. So what we're going to do is investigate the telemetry and give an explanation why Norris won and why he was able to outperform Verstappen in rain. Well, here's what it is. In the rainy conditions, McLaren's traction and their stability and their balance gave Norris the advantage. Now, in dry conditions, Red Bull will have less drag. Well, they have less drag, but in the dry conditions, they're they're the fact that they have less drag and better straight line speed means they're going to take advantage of the straights. But in those intermediate, tricky conditions yesterday, Verstappen wasn't able to maximize exit speed from the corners because his car didn't have the same traction, grip, and balance that Norris did. So he was coming off. He was coming into the corners faster than Norris, but he was getting snap oversteer coming out because he didn't have that surety. So what happened is that when it rains, the track now becomes a track where you need as much downforce as you can get because having a lot of speed in tricky conditions is not going to help you. You're going to slip when you come off the corner. So basically, and they looked at the telemetry, Norris was getting to his power quicker coming off the corners. Um, Max was more tentative on the throttle because the car was basically like a fish coming off of it. And I was even watching it. You could see when Max was coming off, there'll be a little bit of a understeer coming off the corners. So that was the main difference. The question will be, is going to be dry today in Vegas. So the question is, will Verstappen have better race pace? I hate to say it, Norris just keeps on Norris and McLaren keep breaking our predictions, but if I'm rational, I'll say that Verstappen has better race pace and should be able to win this. And not only that, some of the cars behind Norris should have better race pace, even Williams maybe, and should pass him. But never underestimate that car, that McLaren car. It seems to be adapting now. It seems to be adapting and winning on tracks that it shouldn't be winning on. What are your thoughts, Kunle?
well, I mean, starting with the race pace of Carlos Sainz, I think he benefited significantly from conditions,
Oh
and
yeah,
he performed well in extremely wet conditions with wet tires. I think that if the conditions are not the same, by his own admission, I don't think that he would do as well. When I look at Norris, Norris was among, there are several reasons why Norris did really well. He was one of the last drivers to start his
yeah.
final flying lap in
Track
Q3. So
evolution.
the track was at its driest
Yeah.
and its fastest, and after using full wets in the earlier sessions, Norris quickly got the intermediate tires up to temperature and found his rhythm in Q3 and was able to excel where some of his other rivals struggled. And despite the challenging low grip surface, Norris still drove the car. He drove well. I mean, he drove quite
He drove well.
precisely.
I'm not downplaying his driving, but he
He
did
did
have a
well,
yeah.
and yeah, and he had a significant snap of oversteer in his final section of his pole lap, but
Oh yeah.
fortunately he corrected it well, without losing a critical amount of time. I think this was a good drive for Norris. I think he did
He
pretty well.
lost half a second. That means he would have won by a second. He actually
Yeah.
lost half a second with his error, and that goes to show you just how much. But what it was is that he brought too much speed off the exit. But it just goes to show you that the McLaren car has so much stability that it can go a lot faster in tricky conditions. Yeah, sorry, Connie, go on. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
so the tire management allowed him to exact the maximum pace and set the season. He set the season's fastest times on his final push. And
Yeah.
he was able to produce a clean lap, unlike Verstappen and Piastri, who either drove more conservatively or made late mistakes. And
Yeah.
when you look at the things that he did, the corrections that ensured his lap remained the fastest, and that's how he managed to secure pole. His timing allowed him to set the benchmark
But
times when the conditions were optimal.
I'm not hating on him, but to really be honest with you, it's the reason he beat Verstappen in that qualifier is because of he had better machinery for those conditions. The rain helped him.
Yeah,
If that had been a dry track, he may have come P3 or so. I don't know. I can't predict what he would do. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was everybody's race. I think that when you're trying to race on this fast track, I think the advantage of straight line speed is totally destroyed by rain.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the actual
And you know
ability
what's
to
ironic?
handle,
What's
yeah,
ironic is that Norris had more straight line speed because he was able to come off of the corners faster than Verstappen because of the traction. So Verstappen had theoretically higher limit of speed, but he wasn't able to extract it because he didn't get off of the corners at a high exit speed. So what it means is by the time he will reach a higher speed, it's already the finish line. Do you get my point? Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, if it's a dry track for the race tonight or tomorrow,
Yeah.
it's going to become all the cars are completely jumbled up. If it's a dry track, I see for example, I see Hamilton getting into the points.
Yeah.
Not podium, but I see him taking, at least if he doesn't crash, he will get in like eighth or something like that.
Yeah.
Science, if the track is dry, is going to disappear very, very quickly.
Yeah.
Also, Verstappen is going to come up, if and also Leclerc is going. You have to watch out for Leclerc. I think the cars that will suffer if there's no rain is the Aston Martins and the Mercedes and the McLarens. They really want wet
Yeah.
conditions.
Those are low speed
Um,
cars,
yeah,
low speed,
the
high
Red
downforce.
Bulls, the Racing Bulls, the Ferraris, and they want dry conditions.
Yeah.
So that's what's going to dictate what's
So
going to
that
happen.
Yeah, so let's talk quickly about Mercedes. So the reason Mercedes, I always say Mercedes has downforce and traction, just like McLaren. But apparently, two reasons why they didn't do well. The main reason is that George Russell had a mechanical problem with his steering, so he wasn't 100%. So he didn't drive as clean a lap as Norris. Because if you look, Russell was fastest throughout all the weekend. He was the fastest through most of the sessions, free practices, and qualifying. But he had a steering issue, and also the Mercedes isn't quite doesn't quite have as much stability. And these are things that we don't know how McLaren has. I'm not saying in a bad way. I'm saying the engineers are so good. There are certain things that they have, which is what I would call sleight of hand. We don't know where it's coming from. Their tire deg, and also even though they have, it's not just downforce and traction that's responsible for their overall stability and balance. It's just good engineering. So they have a slight advantage over Mercedes, but Russell would have done a lot better if not for that steering. And also, I still think that Russell has checked out for this season ever since that contract thing and Antonelli beating him, and he supposedly has a flu every 2 weeks and stuff. I think it's not that he's not still the second best driver on the grid. I just think that he's given up for this season and is thinking about next season. What do you think, Kunal?
Yeah, George Russell had a pretty difficult time qualifying. While he didn't qualify on pole like he did the previous year, Russell did show some strong pace in the tricky wet conditions. He was fastest in Q1 and Q2 before that power steering issue developed in Q3, which I think provided that I think really prevented him from getting a really good final lap.
Yeah,
When I look at Kimi Antonelli, he had a tougher outing. He got knocked out in Q1. He
yeah.
qualified
These are tricky
17th.
conditions. He's a rookie. We don't expect him to do well in rain. Yeah.
Yes, yes, so he got knocked. He experienced an unfortunate off-track excursion during his final
I
flying
think
lap.
he got news that he got news that Margie Taylor Green was stepping down. He was sad. Mommy,
Yeah, they
Monday.
had a bit of, and also Mercedes, they actually had a bit of drama because the team was actually summoned by the FIA after failing to submit setup documents on time. However, it was later revealed that it was due to like
Those
IT security issue and FIAs and stuff like that. But they were clear they got away.
I'm
They
sure
would have got
Susie
into
Wolf is
trouble
the head
there.
of the commission that was looking into it too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt sorry for Russell. I mean, he expressed his
How about you
disappointment
beginning
in
to feel sorry
Q3.
for Russell? Can you imagine?
But I think he had a higher expectation of what he was going to do, and I think that
The
after
rain messed up
performing well in the
everything.
race during practice sessions.
And this goes to show you F1 because for the last 4 weeks, all of us, our analysis have been off because of things that we didn't think about. For example, we thought everybody, including all the pundits, all the British engineers, oh, Verstappen's going to destroy on Brazil and on Mexico. But then we forgot, oh, it's high altitude, so that changes. So all you need, when you make a prediction, all it takes is one small variable to put everything out of loop. They're like, oh, McLaren's not going to do well. Low downforce, cold. But then when you bring in the rain, that brings in a new variable and it brings their downforce back into play. So, but it's fun because analyzing F1 is a game of looking at all different variables. But next week, God damn it, Piastri crash Norris, please. Okay, Cooley, what are your thoughts?
I actually wanted to say a little piece on my guy Hamilton. I felt very
Okay,
sorry
quickly,
about.
yeah, quickly. 5 minutes,
Yeah,
yeah.
so I just wanted to say that he had a bit of a nightmare.
Oh, that was
Every
sad.
time he was trying to do a flying lap, there was a yellow flag, and it was forcing him to lift and lose time, and then he couldn't get his tires warmed up. And I think that he should have done a lot. He should have done a lot better. I mean, you can complain the poor visibility, but that affected everyone. So I mean, he's not unique in
Yeah.
that. And he almost crashed out as well. But then again, almost everyone had a real disaster.
Let
It,
me tell you,
it,
Hamilton is just having bad luck. It's not his age or anything. This guy is just having bad luck. And sometimes I don't think I'm not a conspiracy theorist when it comes. I don't think they're trying to fuck him on purpose. He's just having but you know what they say? This type of bad luck. You know what they say? When at darkest before the dawn comes with the new era of
yes.
cars. No, next year's the new era of cars, and they're going back to the type of cars he likes, which are rigid, where you can brake hard and all that shit. You know what I'm saying? You can brake hard,
Yeah.
and the car is not going to be ground effect, so the cars won't be nervous and high strung. So maybe this is God saying this will be your year, like Job. You know what they say, Job. Then he had a bad year, Job. They killed Job's wife. They put the equivalent would be putting Lewis Hamilton's friend Diddy in jail for the wife. He had a bad year. His friend went to jail. He had a he moved to Ferrari. So what I say he's having a lot of bad luck. But maybe next year, if he keeps on persisting, next year will be his breakthrough year. Because to be honest with you, I'm not impressed with Leclerc. Leclerc has no excuse for his driving yesterday. He does
Yeah.
he Leclerc is like a one trick pony. He's really fast, but he makes a lot of errors. What are your thoughts? Last thoughts on Hamilton?
Yeah, I mean, Leclerc was a bigger disappointment, for that qualifier. I think so much more was expected of Ferrari on this fast track. But I think the first and foremost problem for Leclerc is that he struggled with the car's grip and predictability in wet conditions. Since
Yeah.
he's joined the team, and he's reportedly tried to fix it, but hasn't yet found a solution.
Hey, let me tell you
And he's
something.
yeah.
Verstappen is a master in rain. Look what he did in Brazil. There's only one way to do it. Take your ass to the sim and drive for hours. Go ahead.
Yeah,
So
I think also, there's some similar problem with the Red Bull and Ferrari, that there is some unpredictable handling of the car in wet conditions, which makes it
yeah,
a bit challenging for Ferrari drivers to get their tires at the optimal temperature window for maximum grip. And then this
yeah.
was again compounded by the cold. The rain was quite cold and soaked. And in difficult conditions, Leclerc has described the car as very, very unpredictable, and he's had so
And
many mistakes.
the car itself, it doesn't get its tires warmed up quick enough anyway, so the cold just makes it worse. Yeah.
Yeah, he was confident in his wet weather driving throughout his junior career, but like now it seems to be, some. And then when the tires began to dry in Q2, Leclerc's team took a strategic gamble on intermediates, but it didn't pay
Yeah,
off.
the guy just
This was
tires bad.
another missed opportunity to set a better time in the earlier sessions, and which sets a disappointing tone. And
Yeah.
Leclerc noted that even Lewis Hamilton, who joined Ferrari in 2025, he's not been able to shed light on how to solve the car's wet
Well,
weather weakness,
this goes back to
despite
my
his
mantra.
experience with other teams.
This goes back to my mantra. Overhauling your whole suspension last year when you were the second best team in F1. And also, let's not underestimate losing Science, because Science is considered one of the best feedback. Science is like an extra engineer on the team. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Because Science actually has a pen and a paper and is analyzing and helping the engineers solve problems. Hamilton and Leclerc aren't giving feedback, but you have to remember Hamilton and Leclerc are speed demons. They're like, give me a fucking fast car and I'll drive it. Don't tell me how to make it fast. You get my point. Science is more like, I will do some coefficient and I will figure this out for you. And Verstappen is just like, he'll just say, hey, this car's snappy, fix it. You get my point. So Verstappen
yeah,
gives good feedback, but Science gives Verstappen will give you vague terms. Science will actually tell you what's causing the car to be snappy and this and that. You know who else was a genius when it comes to understanding cars? They said he actually had an IQ. He was actually as proficient as the engineers in engineering was Rosberg. You know, Rosberg.
Ah,
No, they said Rosberg passed the engineering exam. They give them, and he scored almost as high as the actual engineers. You know,
oh wow. Oh
you know,
snap.
no. Rosberg has a 180 IQ or something like that. All right. But that was good. But the main point you made was true. If I were Verstappen, I would have tried to time my run so that I was the last person because times were getting fast. Let me give you an example. If I'm not going to say Sonoda, if Lawson had gone after Norris, he would have gone faster than Norris because they were continually getting faster and as the conditions, the track evolved. So Norris timed his thing perfectly to be the last person. What are your last thoughts? Yeah.
Yeah, and Norris was everything went right for Norris. And apart from his little wobble, strategically the team were perfect. But there are a lot of things that he's not going to enjoy in the race tomorrow if it's dry. If that race is dry, just watch out for the McLarens. They're going to struggle.
I hope so. And no, we don't even need to talk about Piastri. He's in. Well, we have to remember he doesn't have the same car as Norris, but even so, the advantage, the front telemetry doesn't make a difference in these conditions. I think Norris's season is over, and if I'm not Norris's, Piastri's season is over, and
Yes.
if he's not careful, he'll never win a championship in his life. I think his star has quickly diminished. Last thoughts on that, and let's get out of here, man. Yeah.
Yes, Piastri seems to have lost that competitive edge, which is the life force of every Formula One driver. And when you lose that, even though he's not done terribly in terms of supporting his team, you can easily find yourself in no man's land and without a team. You need to have that killer instinct and that hunger in order to stay sharp and to stay attractive because there could be a very big dance of musical chairs of drivers and teams at the end of this season, and you want to be amongst them,
Yeah.
especially if you're coming out to favor McLaren. Aston Martin is looking for better drivers. Williams is coming up; they're looking for better drivers. The American car, Cadillac, wants to probably make a big entrance and just jump in and just be competing. But we don't know. They may or may not. They may flop, or they may be like Braun and come in. But it's all kicking off. And it's very unfortunate for Piastri that this is the race where he becomes insignificant. Unless
Yeah.
he does something really special in this race, this is although I think the day came for him the last race, but this is the final hit on the nail on the coffin.
You know what Verstappen said? They asked Verstappen about Piastri, and Verstappen said it doesn't add up. He says that he knows that Piastri's been making mistakes with driving, but he says that the way he disappeared this season doesn't add up. And he wasn't, I told you, Verstappen, he doesn't speak in hints. He's not saying that they're cheating him. He's talking like a robot. He said, in my mind, this makes absolutely no
No
sense.
sense.
So but notice he's not accusing McLaren of anything because Verstappen doesn't make assumptions. He only says, but what he said was, there's no way this guy can drop like that just because of his driving. That is absolutely
No
bizarre.
way. He
And
just has
he wasn't trying to
he's a
insinuate
winner.
because Verstappen doesn't insinuate. He
Yeah.
If he thought that he's saying it makes no sense. To me, that says that there has been some type of sabotage in that car. But Verstappen doesn't make any decisions or believe because he only deals with evidence. That's the way Dutch people are. Dutch people are very logical. They don't make any assumptions. But you and me, we're British, American, Nigerian. You know what I'm saying? We're part of the Anglican world. The British and the Americans and the Nigerians, we make assumptions, motherfucker. Treated that motherfucker. What do you think, Kool-Aid?
I think it's very dark to say that there's sabotage. I think that there's preference, but I think that what I'd say is that
Here's what I think.
the
I think
sabotage
that
sabotage is not somebody loosening a spanner
no,
in
no,
the
no,
engine.
no, no, no. It's subtle.
The sabotage is
Gaslighting.
somebody just being yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was
Gaslighting, and also they gave this guy front telemetry geometry, and that's when his driving got better. And Piastri said he didn't want it. Maybe they're like, yeah, good. He doesn't want it. That's how exactly what we want. You get my point. They
Yeah.
should have
And then when they
insisted.
want to experiment, they'll use Piastri.
Yeah, and I don't believe that, and I don't believe the engineers. It's just like when you're cooking a meal. Like maybe a woman is cooking a meal for her husband, and then she cooks a separate meal for her 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 ex no her brother-in-law. She puts more care into the preparation for her husband. So I'm trying to say that even at that point, I'm not saying that they thinking it, but there's definitely a different development of both of their cars, and I think more energy is being put into his car. So I'm not saying that it's straight up, oh, let's make him lose, but I wouldn't put that past what's his name, Zach Brown, because Americans are lethal. Because he'll say we're going to lose $10 billion if Norris doesn't win. He's a pretty boy. We need him. You get my point?
Yeah.
But what Verstappen says that it doesn't make sense, and Verstappen calls it like he sees it. Yeah. Anyway, take us out. This was a good show.
Yeah. So Piastri is having a bad time, but I think he's done enough to qualify for one more season, but he cannot mess up next season.
Look, 6 weeks ago we said he'll be fighting Verstappen for championships for
And
the next
now
10
now
years.
we're thinking about him
Now
doing
he has one
Kona.
more season. the circus of F1. All right, yeah,
Yes, today you're up and tomorrow you're down.
yeah.
And so when you're up, you're up. When you're down, you're
I
down. Turn
predict
your
Lance Stroll's
frown
going to win the
upside
title.
down.
I'm not joking. Lance Stroll may win the driver's title. He's getting better.
Yes, make sure your frown is the right way round.
All right, so take us
So it's
out.
been an interesting look at what's going to be a very exciting Las Vegas Grand Prix, and we're going to be watching the Boulevard Strip where Tupac got shot in a few hours. And from myself and Mustafa, we bid you goodbye, farewell, and do not forget like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.
Tupac,
Yeah.
my ambitions as a driver. My ambitions as a driver.